What's up, everybody? This is your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. Peter will be putting up beautiful photos here. There's a video by Slim Thug, screenshot here. And I posted in the community page, and I really want people to listen to it. And I'm glad he spoke on it because the whole time he was talking about to young men about, this, I need to make $1 million. I need to make $1 million. You can live like a millionaire on 20K a year. Now, I want to preface some of what he said. If some factors are in place, right? You can live like a millionaire on 20K a month in the United States, probably on 15K. Now, first thing first, if you're in California or you're in New York City, yes, this might not apply to you. So before you send me hate comments, take a deep breath. California and NYC, this does not apply to you. And this is why so many people are moving. Now, second half of this video, I'm gonna talk about how influencers living like a boss on $2 and $3 grand a month, and we'll go over that in the second part. But the first part is Slim Thug addressed this because he's saying he sees so many people doing crime and licks, quotation mark licks, and fast, petty, silly stuff, PPP, all that dumb stuff to get money when really, if you actually look at your lifestyle and see what you really are trying to do, you're not going to be in the every night in the club popping bottles. You're not going to be doing this ridiculous lifestyle. Even he said he only wear his chains, golds, or drive his really fancy car when Beyonce or something or Jay-Z are in town or there's some type of event. And that's where people need to kind of get back to reality, right? So let's say I put Texas up here as an example, but I also use Florida. Let's just break down $20,000 a month. Might not even need that much, right? So $3,000 to $5,000 a month, and this is even if you're doing rental on the water downtown Austin, gets you that, right? Facing the water, looking at the water. A penthouse in Dallas, $3,000 to $5,000. A penthouse in Houston, $3,000 to $5,000, and we could literally screenshot some stuff here, Peter, for them on Houston rentals and Dallas rentals. Florida overlooking the water. When I was down there in Florida for an event, I was just like, whoa, how much are these apartments? Well, apartments overlooking the water for one of them was like $2,700 a month. And immediately people are like, oh, it's so overpriced. It's overpriced. I'm like, imagine coming from New York City or some other state where it's actually overpriced and coming down to Florida. The problem is the type of jobs people are working in Florida. Those numbers seem crazy. But let's just go there, right? $3,000 to $5,000. And I can tell you, as a person who used to work in the apartment industry, we had people come in all the time with an American Express card or a Visa credit card, and they prepay their rent for 6, 7, 8 months at a time. And, now that some apartment complexes make them switch to they have to debit straight from their bank. They have to debit straight from, a checking account, or they can't even leave a cashier's check. Silly stuff like that because, they're trying to save on fees because, you pay 6, 7, 8 months rent on a credit card. There's some fees there, at least 3.5%. All right. So then 2, an exotic car lease. If you guys actually watch some of these people who actually talk about exotic cars, some of these YouTube channels, screenshot it here, Peter. These exotic cars, they go for $2,000 to $4,000 a month. Now that's not insurance. Let's go ahead and pull that part out of it. $2,000 to $4,000 a month to rent an exotic car. But if you're really honest, if you look at Texas, you look in Florida, even people driving Teslas, driving Porsches, they're still sitting around that 2K number unless their credit is in the toilet. Okay, and they're paying some kind of crazy immense. It's usually around $2,000 to $4,000 at max. Okay, so insurance, home, auto, all combined. I'm just doing this, especially if you have the exotic car, you're gonna hit about $2 grand a month. I can tell you right now, most people I've seen, their insurance for their cars are like, for basic cars, it's like $300 a month, right? Well, you add that exotic factor, up it, right? Home and auto, you can get $100,000 coverage for like $200, depending on city and state, right? So then let's go fancy restaurants. Let's say every Friday, you guys eat out. $2,000 a month covers, if you guys are crazy, I guess $500 every Friday. Or if, let's say it's twice a week, you do a Friday dinner, you go on a date night, and then Saturday you're brunching it up. Even then, divided by 8, that's still $200 plus a meal, right? Lots of wiggle room. Massages every week. So I'm basing this off my numbers here, which I know is different in different cities, but I do a 90-minute massage every Friday, unless I just miss it. And you're going to pay $400 to $600 for massages. at the end of the month for the total month. And I put this little as an example, $2,000 weekend trip to Puerto Rico, Belize, Cabo, Cancun. I live here in Texas, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I know people who live in California and they pay $200 to fly to Cabo. They pay like no money to go to Cabo on a flight because they're so close. And so they're down in Cabo for a week in, you know, you're talking about a 2K weekend. That's what you're talking about, right? Or if you're here from where I'm at in Texas, it might cost us $300 to go to Cabo on a flight. Cancun's cheaper flights. Out of Houston, I'm paying $200 if that, right? So it's really where you stay and what you're eating while you're there for that weekend. And really, if you want to push it out a whole week. So that's 13,000, just those top bracket. That left me an extra 6K. What is that extra 6K? The extra 6K can be me having a VA for my business. It can be office space, right? I have one co-working space for $250, but I have another office that we pay $3,000 for because we're stuck in a contract for right now. Then, ad spend or more investments, right? Common sense would say more investments, but some people, it could be more activities for their kids, more activities for their family, flying their moms in, stuff like that. So the biggest components of this was the housing. And if you really think about it, the reason I'm such a stressor of get that house, like buy your house, is because what I've seen as far as in communities, white, Black, and Asian and Hispanic, once y'all got that housing down, everything else is flexible. Once you know that baseline housing, and the reason you hear so many people crying and gnashing of teeth online is because they're renting and the rent's going up, or they need to move, or the renting situation is unfavorable. That just is what it is, baby. You know what I'm saying? The house is the house. The house really pins the foundation of things together. That's why you can see people in Texas buy $1 million house, their mortgage is 500. Yes, you have lawn care, AC, heating, all that stuff, but overall, most of their time is going to be spent at their house. And let's even tweak this for people who have kids. I mean, most of their enjoyment, party, housing, family is around at their house. So that's why when Slim Thug said that, I knew what he was saying. I completely understood. And I was like, agree, but it takes time, and it takes someone actually sitting down in front of you and writing it out and showing you, hey, you only need 15, 20. Right? It's when people get in crazy debt, that's when they need more. So that's 2 cents. Now, on the other half of this, influencer, live like a boss on 2000. There is, if you haven't paid attention, the whole passport bros kind of culture. It came and went on YouTube, but now it's there again because you have a new generation of people doing it. But really what it is I want to live like the 20K a month lifestyle on way less, almost pennies on a dollar, right? That's why you see a like Nomad Capitalist channel. Put that here, Peter, screenshot, Nomad Capitalist. It's one of the fastest growing channels, fastest growing conference, because people are like, how can I go live somewhere else? And what you'll see is a lot of, just middle-class white people who wear a polo and a pair of khakis want to be treated like gold everywhere they go. And so they pick certain places to live, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I just want you to also understand there's just levels to that. Influencer, overseas, I live overseas lifestyle, and it comes in cycles and it comes in waves, especially here on YouTube. Like you'll see a bunch of people all of a sudden passport bros, and then all of a sudden you see a bunch of them come back to America a couple of years later. It happens all the time. But great places to play this example out is Mexico, Bali, Vietnam, Montenegro, Croatia, Portugal, Belize, Panama, right? Belize is English speaking. If you can show you have $24,000 annually a year in your bank account, you can come there. So somebody who's getting a retirement pension from the military and maybe the post office getting 2K a month, hey, they can live in Belize and still get their pension and still use it every month, right? Same thing with Panama, a little bit less. You don't have to show exactly that amount of money, but you can go to Panama. It's not a total culture shock. A lot of people live in Mexico. Go review a lot of channels where people are living in Mexico. Their rent's $500. They're not in the battle zone, but their rent's $500. Their food, their needs, and everything is about $1,500, right? Really, the only thing at that point people care about is their healthcare. Mexico has excellent healthcare. They have a quality doctors, quality systems, and it's relatively inexpensive. You see a lot of people lately going down there for like gastric bypass surgeries and all that crazy stuff for like $3,000. When the United States, it'd be 15, 20 grand, and your insurance company would give you a hard time over it. right? So this is something you should need to think about. Why do they live so well in 2K? A lot of times these guys slow travel, right? They do a month at a time in a place, kind of walk about, you know, cook food at the apartment. But you could easily, for a month, be in Mexico or fly to Karma for $40 a night, some of these Airbnbs for a whole month. And then also, you know, have a gym membership, do some other stuff, enjoy the area. This is not uncommon. Same thing with Portugal. Portugal had a big kind of issue with, you know, apartments being $400 or $300 a month, right? Same thing with Spain. Barcelona's right now is in a high crime section. I would avoid it, but Portugal and the difference a little bit different. You're talking about $300, $400 a month rent. You know what I mean? And a very relaxed lifestyle. Now, most people are saying, well, Ericka, I have kids, I have this, that. There are plenty of channels where people have children and they're traveling like this and they live overseas. Especially now we have remote school learning and all that stuff is online. This is a way people are reducing their costs, right? And again, it's seasonal. I've seen a lot of family channels where they'll live somewhere for 2-3 years and then they come back to the United States. It just is what it is, right? Things change, people change. At least they got to go do it. So I just don't want you on this internet to be like, everybody's fake and everything's a scam and everything's fake. No, I mean, literally, these people can live this cheap in these other countries. And this is why you see such a push, and I'm going to go there, for the credit card culture. Man, if I could just get a 20K credit card, what they're telling you is they're going to go stunt stunt like they daddy, as the Birdman song says. You know, they're going to go overseas, stunt for 6 months to a year and come back. I mean, they even had an article on this one lady who used $30,000 in credit card debt to travel for a year. And she's not the only one. I've seen countless articles, countless forums saying, hey, you know, I did a gap year and I used my credit card, so now I'm back doing this. When, in my opinion, if you're watching this channel, I must strongly encourage you, just do digital real estate. Build a business online, build something that you can tinker with, blogging, Instagram, something, you know. If you're going to be traveling, you know, put some videos, some pictures out, give some content, you know, put an itinerary together, tell people what's the safest areas, you know, make it make sense for you. But what I'm seeing is a lot of people who just, well, I'm going overseas, I'm going, I got a credit card, and there isn't a plan to pay that money back or you know, whatever, kind of bring back that income. So the biggest thing I see is when I do see people do the influencer live like a boss overseas, they usually, common stories, I sold everything and whatever's left, they put it in storage, which, let's do the math. If your storage unit's $300 a month times a year, you spent $3,000. You know, is the stuff inside the container worth the $3,000? That's really the answer, is the question you need to answer for yourself. And I've seen some people pay $500 a month, and I'm like, you could have just left that in an apartment somewhere at that rate, you know, $500 a month for a year, you're paying $6K. I mean, it just depends on your goals. But that's why you'll see them say, well, I sold everything, my car, I sold everything. I'm like, everything? They didn't have a place to store it. They didn't have any money to pay for storage. And so, you know, the influencer culture, I just want you to kind of like not be taken aback by it. And really the truth of it is, if you look at a lot of people with these online businesses, when people talk about 6 figures, people get kind of salty about it because they're like, oh, everybody's coming, they got 6 figures, but they don't even need it. You know what I'm saying? And they make 20K a month, and then a year they're doing 240,000. For you, that may not seem like a lot, but for them, that lets them live in that big house with a pool in the back, and the massages every week, and the once a month trips out of the state, out of the country. You know, you have to really do the math on this stuff. And most Americans haven't done the math. They've just done the credit card debt BS and student loan BS. And so now they can't live like that. They can't have flexibility and they can't have options. So I hope this was helpful. I hope, you know, you got to enjoy the slideshow. If the photos and the pictures are helpful, the screenshots and stuff are helpful to you guys, just to get your head wrapped around what I'm saying. And definitely I'll put in the video description, Slim Thug's comment video, because I think it's important. A lot of people really are, they don't understand how much money is money. That's for one. And for two, the reason you have such a pushback against influencers is because a lot of people go out there with like no money. Something happens, they break a leg, they break an arm. Now they're in dire straits, using a GoFundMe to come back home. Stuff like that's ridiculous to me, right? But if you know math, you know your numbers, you can live well. So I hope this was helpful. This is your girl, Erica. Leave me some comments below, and you guys have a great day.